Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. Before we jump into things today, make sure you subscribe to the Rugby Obsession YouTube channel and newsletter from the link in description. We've got a great one for you. So let me ask you a question. How do you know when it's time to walk away from your life's work?
Oh, man. That is a heavy one.
Right. And more specifically, what do you do when your mind is just completely locked in, but your body is making the argument for you?
Just actively rebelling against you.
Exactly. Actively rebelling against your passion. It's one thing to retire when you've achieved everything, hoisted the trophies, and decided you've had enough.
Yeah, you go out on your own terms.
Right. But it's entirely different when you were physically forced to surrender.
It's the ultimate athlete's dilemma, that agonizing space where your brain still holds the exact blueprint for mastery, but the machinery just refuses to execute it.
Yeah.
And for athletes operating at the absolute pinnacle of physical combat, that realization isn't just disappointing. I mean, it's a full-on identity crisis.
It really is. And that breaking machinery is exactly what we have gathered the notes on today, specifically for you listening. Today's mission is to unpack a fantastic and, frankly, pretty sobering recent report from Planet Rugby by Jared Wright.
Really great piece of journalism.
Yeah, incredible stuff. We are looking at the highly uncertain future of 35-year-old Springboks and Stormers legend, Frans Malherbe.
Which is just a massive story right now.
We're going to explore the brutal physical realities of professional rugby, the heavy psychological weight of retirement, and the massive domino effect Malherbe's absence is having on the international stage.
Because it's a super layered story. I mean, it's not just about a player missing a few games on the calendar. It's about the very foundation of a back-to-back World Cup winning team trying to figure out how to stand without its central pillar.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the facts here are just incredibly stark. Malherbe has not played a single minute of rugby since March 2025.
Wow. 2025.
Yeah. He missed the entire 2025-26 Stormers season due to severe neck and back injuries. And just as he was trying to claw his way back, he suffered another major setback with a hip injury in January 2026.
Just brutal luck.
Right. Now, if you aren't familiar with the intricacies of the front row, think of playing tighthead prop in international rugby, like being the primary shock absorber on a heavy-duty freight truck.
Oh, that's a perfect way to put it.
But the payload keeps getting heavier every single year, and the collisions are getting faster. You can't just patch a blown-out shock absorber with tape.
No, eventually the actual chassis starts taking structural damage. And what's fascinating here is how the source material shifts the conversation entirely from his on-field value to his baseline quality of life.
Yeah, that part really got me.
Jared Wright highlights a quote from Springbok boss Rassie Erasmus that really grounds this whole situation. Erasmus noted that Malherbe's back injuries were so severe that he was struggling to just do normal things with his family. The daily mundane things he loves. That detail completely pivots the narrative for me. We aren't just talking about a player who might concede a scrum penalty.
We're talking about a dad.
Exactly. A father and a husband who couldn't comfortably bend over to interact with his own kids. It is a stark reminder of the human reality these guys face.
That is heavy. Real quick, though, before we dig into Rassie Erasmus' involvement here, I want to remind you all to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession YouTube channel and newsletter from the link in description. And hey, we really want to hear your thoughts and opinions on this in the comments. Do you think Malherbe should retire? Let us know.
Yeah, drop a comment. We'd love to hear your take.
So getting back to it, I want to push back on something here, or at least challenge the dynamic. The report says Erasmus had a meeting with Malherbe last year when he was in excruciating pain and very close to retiring. And Erasmus convinced him not to.
Yeah, he talked him down.
So I have to ask, is Rassie acting in Malherbe's best health interests here? Or is this just the desperation of a coach trying to protect his depth?
It's a completely valid question.
Because when a guy can't do normal things with his family, is it fair for a head coach to talk him out of hanging up his boots?
Well, from the outside, it's super easy to view it cynically, right? A coach always wants his best guys available. But if you break down Erasmus's quote, you see a very specific psychological strategy at play.
Okay, how so?
Erasmus and Malherbe's close friends weren't necessarily telling him to ignore his spine and play at all costs. They were advising him not to make a permanent emotional decision while in the absolute lowest valley of a frustrating rehab.
But I still struggle with this. Aren't they just trapping him in this torturous limbo? If his back is so bad, giving him false hope seems crueler than finality. Why prolong the agony?
It sounds cruel until you look at the psychological crash landing most elite athletes experience upon retiring abruptly due to injury. The sudden loss of identity is devastating.
Right, going from hero to just a regular guy overnight.
Exactly. Erasmus warned him that if he officially retires now, in blinding pain, he can't just change his mind in 3 years when the inflammation goes down. The goal is preserving the option to return.
So it's about keeping the door open.
Yeah, targeting a potential return in January. It's about giving him a long grace period to heal on his own terms, without the finality of a retirement announcement hanging over his head.
Okay, I see the nuance there. You don't want a permanent decision dictated by a temporary circumstance. And just to give you, the listener, the full context, Malherbe is actually out of contract with the Stormers right now.
But he's still in the building.
Yes, still training with them, avoiding heavy contact and absolutely no scrumming. But Stormers Director of Rugby John Dobson confirmed they will accommodate him with a contract if he wants to stay.
Which is a massive testament to his invisible value. Even if he isn't taking contact, having a maestro of the dark arts of scrummaging in the room to mentor the younger guys is just invaluable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier that Erasmus might be terrified of losing his depth, and we are seeing exactly why that fear is justified. Here's where it gets really interesting. The report transitions into this subplot involving French club La Rochelle.
Oh, this part is wild.
They desperately wanted Malherbe to come up north to replace their star tighthead, Uini Atonio.
Right, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see just how fragile the entire global ecosystem of elite front rowers is. La Rochelle wasn't just casually shopping for a backup.
No, it was an emergency.
They needed a replacement because Antonio was forced into an abrupt retirement right before the Six Nations. And the reason why is chilling. He suffered a heart attack in January.
Which is absolutely terrifying. But for anyone who doesn't follow the medical side, why is a highly trained athlete having a heart attack?
It highlights the unnatural physiological strain on modern front rowers. Uini Antonio is playing at over 145 kilograms.
That's around 320 pounds, right?
Yeah, a massive human being. And think about a scrum. They're essentially holding their breath, bearing down with every ounce of strength. This causes a massive, instantaneous spike in blood pressure.
And then the ball comes out, and they immediately have to sprint into open play.
Exactly. The whistle blows, and suddenly that 145-kilogram man has to disengage, sprint 20 meters, hit a ruck, make a tackle. The anaerobic bursts combined with heavy aerobic endurance create a cardiovascular reality that is incredibly taxing.
It's like two different sports at the same time.
Yeah, Antonio's heart attack and Malherbe's spinal injuries are two sides of the same coin. The physical cost of playing in the front row is getting steeper.
So what does this all mean for the Springboks right now? How does a defending World Cup champion team adapt to losing its anchor?
It creates a massive cascading effect. You can't just plug and play a back-to-back World Cup winning tighthead. And it's severely compounded because Trevor Nyakeen is also sidelined with a ruptured Achilles.
Right, another double World Cup winner just gone.
So the veteran foundation of the box scrum is completely shifting.
So who are they using to plug the gaps?
We are seeing Thomas Dutoit and Wilco Liu emerge as the absolute frontline options, but it completely changes the tactical approach.
How so, though? A prop is a prop, right? They just push?
Oh, not at all. This is where the artistry comes in. Thomas Dutoit brings immense raw power, but he doesn't necessarily have that dark arts, millimeter-perfect binding technique that Malherbe uses to neutralize momentum.
Okay, so Malherbe sets an angle that makes him immovable.
Precisely. So when Dutoit or Liu comes in, the Springboks have to subtly change their entire scrummaging timing and setup.
You change the shape of the keystone, you have to adjust the whole art.
Exactly. Meanwhile, a veteran like Vincent Coe has kind of fallen out of favor. But the silver lining is this crisis is forcing them to accelerate the next generation. We've seen guys like Zachary Porthen, Carlu Sadie, and Meethling Fouche earn test debuts.
Talk about being thrown into the deep end.
Oh, 100%. And they really could have used Esanathi Labakanye, but he is completely unavailable after getting an 18-month doping ban.
Oh man, what a time for that to happen.
Right, so Rassie Erasmus is navigating catastrophic injuries, unexpected heart conditions globally, and disciplinary bans all at once.
It really paints a vivid picture of how rapidly a championship team's landscape can change. When we step back and synthesize this whole journey that Jared Wright laid out, it really goes so far beyond the rugby pitch.
It really does.
For you listening, this is a deeply universal story about extreme dedication to your craft versus knowing when to preserve your health for your family. Frans Malherbe paid a very steep, lonely physical price to become a legend.
Yeah, you're left with two distinct takeaways. On one hand, you have this inspirational drive of a champion trying his best to endure the pain and get back by January.
But there's a darker side to it, too.
Exactly. It's a brutal warning about the physical limits of the human body. When a veteran falls, the machine doesn't stop to mourn. The team must rebuild, and the game waits for no one.
The collision always comes, and the game always goes on.
Which brings us to a final thought on this whole situation. This raises an important question for you to consider. If Malherbe does manage to step back onto the pitch in January, will the sheer pace and the physics of modern international rugby have moved on without him?
That's a great point.
Or does a truly world-class tighthead prop possess a timeless mastery of the scrum that defies age and a broken body?
That really is the million-dollar question. Does the shock absorber still work when the freight truck is moving faster than ever? We'll have to wait until January to find out. Before we go, please make sure to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession YouTube channel and newsletter from the link in description. We really value your comments and opinions, so keep them coming.
Yes, thank you for all the support.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next